The Sandman Season 2, Everything We Know. With The Sandman recently being released on Netflix, and it jumping straight to number 1 in over 80 countries around the globe, I think it's safe to assume that a second season could well be on the horizon. With an ending that alluded to darker things to come, I thought I'd break down and explain all that there was out there about Season 2 of the show, whilst giving my theories and predictions to what I think could happen in the next installment of the show. So let's get into it. Here is The Sandman Season 2, Everything We Know. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. The release date. The release date of Season 2 of the show is something that's currently unknown. Netflix haven't announced if they're going to be commissioning a new season of The Sandman. However, with it having the popularity that it's had in such a short amount of time, and it jumping to number 1 globally, I think it's safe to assume that a second season is definitely going to be on the cards. Netflix usually announces the status of a new season of a show a couple of weeks after the show's been released, so we've got a little while to wait until that moment arises. Once the decision gets made, I would predict that we'd most likely get a second season of the show airing around the summertime or fall of 2023. Traditional timings tend to allow a year to a year and a half between seasons. And with this show having a lot of support in terms of marketing, they'd most likely need to allow for that alongside the writing, filming, and post-production. So I'm predicting late 2023 for the release of Season 2 of The Sandman. The cast. With no major deaths in the show other than Roderick in the first episode and Unity in the final episode, I'd predict that most of the main cast will be returning to the show. I don't know if Rose would be as important of a character in Season 2, now that she's had what made her the Vortex removed from her. So I would think that if she does appear, it would be in a much smaller capacity, and we'd see Lyta become more of a focus due to her baby being born, and Morpheus stating that he'd be back for it someday. Taking this into consideration, I think we'll likely see the characters Morpheus, Lucian, Desire, Despair, Death, Joanna Constantine, Lyta, Lucifer, and I think we'll also see Nada be a focus of the show this time round. Judging by what the story could potentially be about, I also think that we'll see the Corinthian return, seeing as though Morpheus stated that he'd create him again one day. There's also 2 other members of the Endless that we're likely going to see based on the story that Season 2 could be based on. This would see us be introduced to Destiny and Delirium. We may also get introduced to many other new characters along the way, so I wouldn't say it's a closed off cast. The story. The story of Season 1 was centered around Rose Walker being the individual who was a vortex, and was essentially causing the walls of the waking world and the dreaming world to crumble, due to her being a descendant of the birth child of Unity and Desire. Dream managed to solve this vortex from consuming both worlds, and went back to work in creating more dreams and nightmares to bestow upon people. Following this happening, we saw Lucifer speak with Azazel, who is a co-ruler of Hell, where they stated that they want to expand the borders of Hell and take over the dreaming world. Lucifer said how she was going to do something that was going to make God absolutely livid, and would also bring Morpheus to his knees. Earlier on in the season, in episode 4, we saw that she stated that she would destroy him one day, and this could very much be alluding to that and the start of her taking him down. When we look at the comic books, Volume 1 and Volume 2 were incorporated into Season 1 of the show, so we could potentially see Volume 3 and 4 being the embodiment of Season 2 of the show. Volume 4 in the comic book series, titled The Season of Mists, contains the story that it felt as though the end of Season 1 set up, with its closing scene focusing on Lucifer and her plan to take down Morpheus. It seems as though it contains Lucifer seeking revenge on Morpheus, whilst also delving into the story around Nada, who we were introduced to in Season 1 of the show. I imagine we'll likely learn about how and why she defied him 10,000 years ago, and how exactly she ended up being contained as a prisoner in Hell. It also delves into Lyta's baby, and will hopefully provide us more of an understanding on what happens when a baby that was conceived in the dreaming world is living amongst individuals in the waking world. There are also other members of the Endless that feature, such as Destiny and Delirium, which we haven't been introduced to in the show yet, so I imagine we'll see their relationship with Morpheus on screen. With Desire being behind a lot of what went wrong in Season 1 of the show, I think we could also see the trouble that they're going to try and cause coming to fruition again in Season 2 of the show. There's so much that could potentially happen, but a battle between Lucifer and Dream is something that I believe will most definitely be at the core of Season 2 of the show. Unfortunately for now, that's all that's known about the Sandman Season 2, but I'm sure more information will be released as time goes on. Until then, there are the comic books to be able to delve into to be able to see what could potentially be on the horizon for the show. So, there you have it, the Sandman Season 2, Everything We Know. If you want to see more videos such as endings explained, theories and predictions, and character breakdowns, then click on the I button. Or alternatively, you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you want to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review next, then head over to my Twitter, @BrainPilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What do you think is going to happen in Season 2 of The Sandman? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.